What's up guys, welcome back to another live trading video. Today we're taking a look at USD JPY and I just picked up a long position with a $800 risk associated to it should price go against me. Now in this video what I'm going to be doing is I don't know what's going to happen with this trade. I'm starting from the very beginning and filming the entire trade for you guys on YouTube. Hopefully that is something that is interesting to you or helpful to you. If it is, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and let's dive into the breakdown behind USD JPY. So first, let's do a quick technical breakdown of what's been going on with the dollar against the Japanese yen recently. And I'd like to start with the daily chart. You can kind of notice that this thing has pretty decisively been to the downside recently. Despite the recent sort of breakout, this has been a really strong downward trend. Now, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know that for a very long time, I was very bullish in the dollar and there was an unbelievable uptrend to take advantage of during 2022. However, the turn of the year actually ended up being a very bearish time as the dollar continued to push lower and the dollar yen completely cracked to the downside. Now, what I find very interesting today is that there is some signs that we may actually be resuming a potential upward trend again on the dollar against the Japanese yen. So again, we've drawn this trend line here off the daily chart and you can see again, several instances where sellers were just in control of this market. And then the most recent action happens where we've actually sort of broken out of that downward pattern. So now zooming in more to the 4-hour chart, what we can see here, we'll get rid of that trend line, is we've actually seen some pretty nice bullish price action recently. We attempted to come back up, and again on that daily chart, we looked for sellers. Sellers tried, they tried again, and they continued to try, but were unable to push this thing meaningfully back below the previous lows. That's price action wise a pretty bullish thing, especially considering now we've got this big break on these green candles here. These decisive green candles are definitely what I would consider when looking for a possible breakout the other direction. So now price is pulling back and this is my opportunity to actually try and take a long position. So we saw a rejection off of this 50% retracement, price bouncing, and I'm actually just picking it up here long with a stop loss below the lows. And I'll draw my stop loss so you guys can see it a little bit better here. So the orange line represents my stop loss here on this trade. So if price comes crashing through the lows again, if we break through that 50% retracement, that's going to be it. I'll take a quick loss on this trade, no problem. But if price is able to rally, my plan is to try and trail stops. So if price shoots to the upside and puts in a higher low, that sort of thing, I'll be looking to take this risk off the table and trail it into profit. From a technical perspective, that is my entry and it doesn't get much more complicated than that. In terms of targets for this dollar yen cross from a technical analysis perspective, I'm looking to see if we can get a possible retest of this previous high. I would consider that a pretty big win. And then also if I can get a move back to this high here over in January, that would be fantastic as well. So that's kind of where I'm at with the trade. Technically speaking. Now let's talk about the other two pillars. What we always talk about on the channel is we talk about the technical analysis when entering a trade, but we also try and briefly go over the fundamental analysis as well as the sentiment analysis behind each trade that I take. This is sort of my 3 pillars of a trading setup, if you will. Of course, you also have risk management and that sort of thing, which is also incredibly important, but these are how I actually find criteria for trades to take entry and exit wise. So we've just done the technicals, right? We know where the stop loss is. We know where the entry was and why it was taken. Now we can talk a little bit about the fundamental and sentiment analysis. This is why I actually chose the dollar against the Japanese yen with a bullish perspective. Let's switch over to the Edge Finder. You can see this is our market scanning software that we use to find fundamental and sentiment confirmed trades, if you will. So I'm looking at the USD JPY, and what we can see here is that it has a buy bias. Why does it have a buy bias? Well, we can see the score breakdown right here. We get a +3, and all this 3 is telling us is that in all of the categories that we study, we're getting bullish readings primarily, +3 overall. That's the score of this entire column, right? So if we take a look, for example, at COT data, we have a bullish reading for the US dollar, considering institutional money from the commitment of traders data tells us that they're bullish on the dollar, right? Institutional money is long the US dollar, and they're very short the Japanese yen. Combining those two numbers, that's a pretty bullish reading. So we get a +2 in that category. And we can go down the whole list, but basically a big one here, of course, retail sentiment, right? The crowd is short on this one. Not quite enough to give us a strong bias, but technically by a bit, there's a majority of retail traders that are short on the dollar yen. If we take a look at trend reading, the upward trend is still pretty prevalent. You can see it in our trend projection chart. If you see under GDP growth and interest rates, these favor the US dollar. As you can see, the US offers a 4.75% interest rate at the time of filming, and Japan offers a negative interest rate at the same time. Comparatively, we also have GDP numbers, which are much higher in the US. Despite that, we do have to give credit to the Japanese yen in the sense that the inflation numbers and unemployment numbers are better in that place in regards to, or in respect to, the US dollar or the US economy. So overall, we get a +3, which is a bullish bias on this currency pair. That's how we combine both the fundamentals and sentiment analysis with a technical trade. Now, the plan is to let this trade play out for a bit, and once it starts getting moving, we'll make a decision as to whether or not we're going to get stopped out on this trade if it goes against us, or we'll react if this market makes headway to the upside. We'll look to trail stops and manage risk appropriately. So I'll pause and we'll come back once this trade gets moving. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to let you know that if you're not already in our free Discord channel, we have a place where traders from all around the world come together, they collaborate, and you can get free ideas from our team of trading analysts every single day. Get trade ideas, free PDFs that could be helpful in your trading, and so much more. The link will be down below in the description to sign up. Just submit that form to help us avoid scammers or spammers joining the Discord, and we'll see you inside. All right, guys, and we are all out of USD JPY. You can see price did, in fact, hit my orange line there, which was denoting my stop loss at 130.30. Price came down, tagged underneath this low, which was my cue to go ahead and get out of this trade, stopping me out for about an $800 loss, which is especially frustrating when you look at this sort of wick where it comes down and then shoots back the other direction. And it's very easy in this situation to sort of come to the conclusion like, well, the market was just hunting my stop, or the market is playing games with me, or, next time I'm going to widen my stop loss. And this is where I would sort of encourage you to make sure that you've done your back testing, you know the strategy that you're trading before you start taking trades, which is going to give you the confidence to know that, hey, you know what? If you spent enough time back testing, you know that this event happens sometimes, and it's happened to me many, many times, and I've still traded the same strategy for years and years and been profitable overall. So here's the thing. If something like this occurs, ask yourself why you feel targeted. Ask yourself why you have that urge to widen that stop loss next time. And is that really going to solve your problem? And the answer is probably not, because if I trail this stop, or if I put this stop wider, what that does is it sort of it puts on more risk on the table, or makes me reduce my position size, which means that even if I was correct in this case, I would have essentially not made nearly as much money. So for example, in this case, yes, I get stopped out here. It's a bit frustrating, but what it really tells me is that my trade idea just was not as good as I thought. If it was really that good, it would have exploded off this level and we wouldn't have failed here. If anything, what we kind of saw was a little bit of rejection here on that second retest, showing sellers are pretty strong, and when they push through that low, that's just going to be a cue for me to go ahead and get out of the trade and take my loss, quick and easy. The thing is, this loss is not like it's a giant amount of my account. It's actually very, very small, and I have plenty of room to try again, look for other dollar setups that might be better, and basically be patient with it. You don't have to make all your money on every single trade. And I think that understanding that took me some time, and many traders, they'll see me take a loss in a video and they'll sort of correct me. And I understand, I appreciate, the analysis and commentary and trying to better understand, maybe did I do something wrong? But there's also, a strong point to just say, hey, you know what? Even when you have a great setup that meets all your criteria, sometimes the market just does something crazy. And in this case, it spiked against me, just didn't hold my zone the way I was expecting. And I will be the first to say I was wrong. I didn't make the right trade here, and hey, you know what? If it was all about being right 100% of the time, it'd be even harder than it already is to be profitable. Being profitable doesn't require you to be right all the time. It requires you to play it safe, and when you're right, let it work out. I mentioned earlier on that if this trade ended up working, right? For example, if we had exploded off this level and put in higher lows and higher highs, hey, I might still be in this trade, and that would be a very different scenario. That would be a scenario in which I was right, and now I'm managing that position. Whereas, it's easy to mess up a winning trade as well. And I think that that's why this can be an important lesson when I show these losing videos is you enter a trade, right? And price makes a move up. I'm not just going to take profits the second I get into profit. My goal is to try and let something run more than that, right? If this thing trails higher, there's nothing here to tell me to get out of the trade until we sort of actually see a reversal, at which point I'll lock in profits. I hope that that makes sense. I have many videos on this subject. We have videos about how to trail stops the way I do, what I look for in entries, and also just sort of a realistic expectation that no matter what strategy you use, you're going to have losses sometimes. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you. A lot of you guys sometimes comment that you like the losing videos. I try to post both of them so that you can see a little variety in the trades that I'm taking, what I do in a winning situation, what I do in a losing situation. Hope this was helpful to you. Have a great rest of your day. See you next time. It looks like you made it to the end of one of my videos. Thank you so much for supporting my content. It really means the world to me. And down below in the description, I've put together some of my best resources for aspiring traders who are looking to improve. I've got some free downloads that could help you, some broker recommendations, and if you'd like to join our Discord or get access to some of our trading software, all of that will be linked down below in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.